You always get that little shuffle whenever we start. I don't know if you ever noticed, and hopefully we're live now, but if you ever catch it, I hit the little button to go live and then do that little seat shuffle. So apologies if you ever come live, see me doing this little wiggle. That's me making sure that I'm ready and comfy, because till then I've never got comfy. So how are we all? Is anybody with us? Are we in the right place and can you hear us? I always ask you this every week. Please let me know in the comments that you're here and you can hear us and that you can see us, I suppose, is also relatively important, isn't it? No point doing a live if all you can do is hear me, Rabbit. You need to see what we're doing. So yeah, let us know in the comments if you're with us. Say evening, let us know that you're here, and then I promise I'll get on with what we're talking about today. So, oh, we've got a Wendy. Evening, Wendy. Lovely to have you here with us. Thank you for letting us know that we're live and that you can see us, because that's always, genuinely, always a bit of a panic. I'd probably tell you this every week because I'm a bit of a broken record. But one of the most exciting bits about doing these lives is getting to be with you all. And one of the most petrifying bits about them is never knowing if we've actually clicked the right buttons and gone live, and that we're not just sat in a room talking to ourselves looking at little screens, which is always quite possible. Oh, there's lots of you with us this evening. Look at all this lot. Good evening. Hello, Chrissy. Hello, Sandra. Hello, Zoe. Evening, Marion. Marion, I see you said earlier that you're with us for the first hour. I don't know what you know, but I should only be with you an hour. But it's lovely to have you with us, so thank you for joining us. And if I do go on too long, do let me know and I'll shut up and leave you all in peace, because it's what day of the week? Thursday, isn't it? You've probably got a lot more exciting things to be doing than listening to me, Rabbit. Good evening, Margaret. Evening, Jean. Hello, Pat. Lovely to have you with us, Porsche. Evening, Samantha. Wendy saying hello to you, Pete. We haven't introduced you yet, but of course we've got Pete here this evening. He is here and on hand. Let's give a little flash. Go on, Pete. Wave from the other end.
Hello, everybody. Are we all okay?
Pete is here and ready to run and get things. I'm very disorganised today. I am. Pete's agreeing. Very disorganised, and I'm sure I've forgot 20 things, including what I haven't asked Pete already, that if we actually make anything, are we going to give it away this week? And if we are, what are we going to ask them? Because last week, we did this last week before we went live. We had a little Halloween giveaway, one by Kim Mole. Very lovely. And we prepared this before we went live. Today we haven't done that. That would have taken organisation. So let's ask them to tell us their favourite colour, the right name of the new ink pads we're going to introduce you to this evening, because that's something I can go out on a limb and say would be easily done. So there are 5 new colours of ink pads we will be introducing you to tonight. So let us know which one is your favourite, and if I make anything, which I think we probably will, then we'll send it out to one lucky winner, and Pete will pick before we go off air tonight and let us know which person's won. He randomly does it out of the generosity of his own little head. So let's have a look. Have we missed anybody, Pete? You're going to have to keep me on track tonight. We've got lots to chat about. Chrissy says, evening to you, Pete. You've got to mention you, which is fair dues. I hadn't even introduced you. So evening to Chrissy from you too. Evening, Andrew. Let's unhide Mary. Mary, I don't know why. Your comments still come up hidden. You always come up hidden. I don't know why. You always do. So if I miss you, just yell again. But I'll try and unhide you as we go. Evening, Mary. Evening, Judy. Lovely to have you with us all the way from Colorado. Evening, Diane. Evening, Kim. And now it's going a bit too quick for my little eyes to keep up. So let me know, Pete, if I missed anything. Peter, we walked past, I see there's something about it. We walked past your lovely cafe in Southwold last week, very early in the morning. He's mouthing in the corner going, cafe? According to Pete, it's a very posh restaurant. One day, Sandra, I'll tell you what I call it, and your cafe was much more politer than I call it. But it is a lovely little place to go. If you've not been, pop in. I see you was there. I hope you enjoyed it. Southwold's lovely. Okay, I have a feeling we have quite a lot to get through this evening, product-wise, and introduce you to. So I'm going to stop waffling and I'm going to start showing you new goodies. Now, tonight we're going to do it slightly differently, because I often find, and you can tell us in the comments if you prefer this way or how we normally do it, but quite often we'll show you the first product, and then I go on to show you the samples, and all of the samples are showing you things that are coming up that you haven't yet seen, and I find that a bit annoying for you. I feel it's better if you can see everything first, then we'll take you through the samples, and then if you've got any questions or we've got time, we'll do some demoing and show you more bits about them. So we're playing it slightly differently tonight, but let us know what you think, because it's all about trying to work with you and give you the best version of Alive that we can give you. Now, before I continue, important bits, because I always forget these, this collection isn't available yet. This is your sneaky peek. So your Thursday night natter sneaky peek. It's a lot to fit on a title, so we just called it Thursday night natter. But it is your sneaky peek of what will be launching exclusively on Tuesday for Highlight Crafts on their live shopping events. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I should tell you the times of the shows, but not only did we forget to prep the competition this evening, we forgot to look up what times the shows are. Now, me and Pete are going to go out on a gamble here and tell you that we think we're on at 9, 10 and 1, but I will put up a post over the weekend, if not before, confirming that, because of being the bit of a plonker that I am. I actually forgot to confirm that this evening before coming in. So forgive me, but it's Tuesday. We'll be with you for 3 hours. There will be 2 hours with this collection, and then we will be revisiting the Floral Wonder collection for 1 hour as well, because there's just so much I want to share with you on that collection, and I feel that there's a lot more that we can do with it. So yeah, hopefully you'll be able to join us for those shows. Now, I know, and I haven't even focused yet, but I know lots of you are going to be saying, well, great, it's on Highlight Crafts, but will it be available elsewhere? Will your stockists be having it? Of course they will. Stock permitting, and we always have to tell you that. Highlight Crafts have access to all of the stock we have available. Once them shows are done, then of course we will give it out to the stockists as well. And of course, as always, work hand in hand with our stockists as best we possibly can do to make sure that they've got access to it and can share it with you as well. That will happen a couple of days later. So by the time we go live for next week's Thursday night natter, it will be live then, and we will tell you more about the stockists that have already come on board and got it, and the ones that will be ordering it shortly. Give you a little bit more info about that. But Tuesday, exclusive launch for Highlight Crafts. So if you want to get it first, that's where you need to be. And of course, we'll be sharing with you lots of inspiration on the shows too. I really enjoyed my last Highlight Craft shows, so I'm really looking forward to going back and being with the team again. So don't miss us on Tuesday. Anything I haven't told them that's important that I do? You're chuckling away in the corner.
I'm just looking at my lovely Jane Tondes, reckons it's a greasy spoon.
A greasy spoon, mate. Still better than what I call it, Jane. Still better than what I call it. But I won't say live what I call it. But
you miss Lynn as well. You didn't shout Lynn out.
Oh, evening, Lynn. Hello, Lynn. Hello, Dawn. Hello, Margaret. Hello, Hazel. And sorry if I've missed you, honestly. Last thing you want to do is look at the side of my ear while I try and read all of that lot. So let's dive in and have a little look. Now, of course, lots of thanks to our design team as well. So last week when we see you, I'm trying to remember, it's been such a long week. Last week we told you about the new website. So jamierodgerscraft.com. On there you'll now find a new shiny blog that's got a couple of posts on it and more coming soon. On there you can also now view all of the items, not these ones, they're not on there yet, but everything that's already been released. You can also review the items. I haven't checked if anyone's done that yet, but if you haven't, I would really appreciate it if you would go and review any of the products that you've bought from us previously, good or bad, because if we can't improve if we don't know, but equally if you love them, it's nice to see that, because then we can bring out more colours, more shapes, more sizes. So your feedback is, as always, really vital. So pop onto the website, open the product up, and it'll give you a box underneath it that you can fill in your thoughts, and you can just rate it by stars, or you can tell us what you're thinking, but that would be lovely. We've also had a brand new design team member join us. So we had, we've got Lynn and Ian, they were our first two. Then we brought on Wendy recently, only a couple of weeks ago. And then we've just added our new one, which of course is our lovely Sharon Noble, who I see is here as well. So evening, Sharon. Lots and lots of inspiration from those lot coming to you this evening and throughout the next couple of weeks with our new collection. So let's delve on in, shall we? This is our new collection, and there's so much I can't even fit it all on to one camera shot. There's that much of it. And this is our tile collection. So I'm going to try and break this down. We're going to get rid of all of this lot to begin with. And we're going to just shuffle this out the way, and we'll come back to that in a second. But there's loads to get through tonight. But we're going to bring in these 5 little cubes of joy. These are our brand new metallic ink pads. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, these have been taking their merry time to reach us here. They've taken a lot longer than we anticipated and should have been with us a good while back. But we have 5 brand new ink pads to play with. Now, I'm going to try and bring these up. We will play with these shortly. But there is silver lining, there is black suede, there is sea breeze blue, there is royal purple, and there is brushed gold. So these are your first 5 colours in brand new metallic ink pads. These are incredible. You will just love them. If you're anything like me, the more you play with these, the more you're going to fall in love with them. We can do so much with them. We can take them out and put them onto mats. We can put water with them. We can do that lovely smooching technique that Gwen refers to, of like rubbing your card for it and picking it up and getting like a marble effect. We'll try and play with that. We can splatter with them. We can paint with them. We can stamp with them. We can go over embossed card with them. There is so much. There's so many techniques and fun that we will be bringing you, not only tonight on the shows on Highlight, in future Thursday night natters with these, because there's just oodles that we can do with them. So 5 brand new metallic ink pads. Then let's move you on to the next bit. So our tile collection is what this is all about. Now, I've forgot the name again. Something else I was going to look up tonight before we went live and I forgot it. What's the name of a shape that interlocks? It's not tessellate.
I was going to say tessellate.
Is it tessellate?
Was it tessellate?
I don't know. Come on, you lot, help us out in the comments. When we get talking about these, help me. So we have got for you a brand new tile set of stamps. Now, there are 3 different ones here. These are all DL in size. The first one is Butterfly Florals. I'm going to try and bring this up so you can see it. So we've got little flourishy bits, butterflies, a big with love. Then as we come down, we have got little butterflies and flowers, floral backgrounds, butterflies in little tile shapes, some without the outside edges, so you can do more with them if you want to. Then this really cool little one down here with a little butterfly on it. That's set 1. Moving on to set 2. This is your happy birthday set. So in this one, this is the only set that has a stamp that doesn't match a die, because it's got the candle, which is a separate one. Everything else will match dies. We'll show you the dies in a moment. In this one, we've got a little present, so it could be Christmas, could be Valentine's, could be congratulations on your engagement, because it looks like a little ring box. You've then got champagne glasses, a big happy birthday banner, all in one picture that's going to print for you. Then we've got little presents again, different though. And then we've got balloons, stacks of presents, birthday wishes, which is sort of like a silhouette style stamp. That looks really cool. Happy birthday spread out across a present. And then we've got bigger balloons and smaller balloons. So again, these are going to take you all through the year for every celebration, every occasion, but of course focusing in on the one thing we probably make the most cards for throughout the year, which is of course birthdays. And this was designed as a design that you could use for everybody. So it could be men's cards, it could be teenage cards, it could be children's cards, adult cards, 80th, 90th, 100s, whatever you want to be celebrating birthday-wise. This image should hopefully tackle that for you, because it's balloons, streamers, presents and banners. What more could we want? Then we have for you, now again, I know I've asked you to tell me your favourite colour in ink to enter the competition to win something if we make it, but equally you could tell me what one of these is your favourite, not competition wise, but just out of interest. Then we have the ornate patterns. I love this one because again, this takes us through every part of the year, because it's just the most generalised design you're going to ever see. We've got little sort of flourishy bits, flowers if you will, little heart patterns, different hearts, different flourishes, different ornate like gridwork stylings, some slightly Moroccan. I don't know, they just kind of tackle everything. Then this one's kind of cool because the opening is left open, or the frame is left open. That makes more sense, doesn't it? So once you've stamped that, you can then bring in a smaller stamp and stamp that on the inside of it. So again, when we're talking about our inks, maybe you want to stamp the outside in blue and the insert in purple, Sea Breeze Blue, Royal Purple, official names. Or, of course, again, interchangeability. I'll put my teeth back in a minute. Honestly, it's all falling apart. You could bring in the balloons and stamp the balloons inside there instead. Or, using the dies that we haven't even got to yet, you could bring the dies in and you could cut out that middle and turn that into a frame. Now, not only could you cut out the middle, you could cut out every single part of these stamps and more so. When you look at these, you're going to see that the dies, if I can find them, let me just see if I can find them. So the largest one of these is bigger than your stamped image. And this is done intentionally because I want you to have mats and layers. I don't just want you to have the size that goes up to the stamp. I want you to have big enough dies that you can make your card blanks out of if you wish to. Equally, I want you to be able to cut these and stamp these and colour these and then have mats and layers to go underneath them. So in this set, you have 6 different dies. Now, although we talk about this being a tile collection and it interlocking, and we'll talk more about that when we get on to playing with the cuts, the stamps don't interlock, the dies do. Now, I should have planned this out better. Let's find a bit of black card, and I'll show you this in board form in a minute, so forgive me, this wasn't prepared. When you cut your die out, each one of them will fit back together. So that literally butts up to the side of this part. That one, if I get it in the right place, will butt up to the side of that one. And you can choose where you end this. This could be as big or as small as you want it to be. And you've got 6 different sizes to create that effect with, going right the way down to the very smallest, which matches the stamps on here. So lots of ways to do that, but the stamps don't quite match, but you can leave a gap between them so they do match. Or you can use them with the stencils that we'll be looking at shortly that again give you that matching effect too. So we'll show you more samples with them shortly. I just wanted to explain the concept slightly so that you could see what I meant by interlocking, why it's called tiles, how it's going to work for you. So you've got your die set, you've got your free stamp sets. This is really where it begins. This is where a lot of the fun's going to come in, but I didn't want to leave it there for you. So we've got more for you. This one is our elegant butterfly oval, and probably, I think I can say this, in my opinion, probably the most beautiful die I've ever bought you. And I don't bandy that around easily. And I'm not just talking about in my time designing as Jamie Rodgers Crafts, I mean that I've ever done. And I say that because it's butterflies, it's lacy, it's pretty, and I love an oval. And there's so many bits we can do with this and ways in which we can use it. I'll show you more on that on the boards when we get to the boards. But it's more about this middle bit. And this is what I love doing. I love bringing you collections where everything matches and it all works together. So this oval part in the centre is a separate, I apologise. I always refer to this as an oval. I don't know why. It's like an ornate Moroccan tile. So we'll stick to the idea of tile. But that part there with the lattice is separate. And I'll show you when we play with the dies. But it means you can leave this solid and you can then stamp your stamps on top of that area. Of course, it means you can also bring in these dies and pyramage it up or layer it up if you wish to. So lots of ways in which you can build up on top of this. And this is one of those dies that has got a separate lattice, a separate edge to the lattice, a separate oval, then a separate fluted edge. So again, cut in, cut out, cut with, layer, leave flat, choice is yours. Then we have 4 corners. Now this is something else we love to do. If we've got space, we're going to give you as much as we can. So we've got the area in these corners to play with. So we've give you 4 separate corners. And this time I've given you all the same corner because it matches in perfectly with this one. And I know that you're going to want to match this to every time you cut the oval because of the same butterflies run through it, the same swirls run through it. But we've got separate innie and outies. So the filigree part again is able to stay in your cardstock. Then you've got your cutout to go around it, and you've got it so you can put mats underneath it. So lots and lots of ways in which you can use them. Peter, I'm not going to stop waffling. So if you see any questions I need to answer, just yell. Because if not, I'll just get carried away and we'll be here forever. So then we move on and we have stencils. You know I love a stencil and I love bringing you lots of variations of stencils. So we have here for you 3 different mesh stencils, and this is our ornate tile stencils. We have a large one, we have a medium one, and we have a small one. Now these are absolutely brilliant for inking over or embossing through your machine with your rubber mats and then bringing in your stamps and stamping in the areas. You don't have to stamp every one of them if you don't want to. You could just stamp some of them. Now if you remember when I said to you about the stamps, because of the way the stamps are and how they have to fit inside the dies, they can't nest together, but they can nest together if you stamp them over the top of the stencil. And by that, I don't mean leave your stencil in place and stamp over it. I mean, which you possibly could do, something I haven't tried, but more if you ink over it or emboss it, then stamp over those coloured areas. It looks beautiful. I'll show you samples, I promise. Then to finish off our stencils, this is something, oh, we'd have to start rustling. Apologies, we're rustling already. Let's delve into one of these. And we're just going to pick out one size of it because we don't need all of them. And I think that maybe this will do. Oh, wait, that's a match. So in here, you've got 12 pieces. You've got positives and negatives of each of the sizes of the dies. So every size you're going to receive in die format, you have in stencil format. And this is designed that you can stamp your stamped image and you can bring over that stencil and then add colour to it. So if you don't want to die cut, you want to use it flat, brilliant way to do it. If you want to stamp them down, then place the positive over the top of it and then bring in your misters, for instance, your elite misters, your inks, whatever you want to work with, colour over the top of it, you can then reveal your perfectly crisp stamped image. Now you know me, I love printing with pieces like this, printing with our stencils, letter pressing, creating inky backgrounds. That's going to work perfectly with these too. So there's many ways in which you can take these off to get creative and lots you're going to be able to do with them. So that's our tile collection. So just so that we're clear, 3 stamps, 1 set of ornate tiles as a stencil set, 1 ornate nested set of dies, then you've got your butterfly set to go with it, your butterfly oval, and then you've got your 3 different sizes of ornate mesh. That's a lot, isn't it? But we don't stop there on today's release. We have even more to tempt you with. But I'm just going to check, have I missed any questions?
Kim's birthday. Kim did.
Kim?
Do you reckon she was at the pub? So I hope she hasn't come off.
No, I do hope you haven't left the pub for us. You can watch us back on catch up if Facebook don't hold our post to ransom again. They did that last week. We did get it back and it is now on YouTube in case you've missed it. But Kim, happy birthday. I hope you're having a lovely birthday and I hope we're not sort of interjecting too much, but it's lovely to have you with us. I did see a question. Please can you tell me the dimensions of the oval die set? I absolutely can do because thankfully it's printed on the packet. So let's have a little look. The largest die in this set is 5.1 by 6.8 inches, which is roughly 12.9 by 17.3 centimetres. And the corners are 2 inches. 2 inches by 2 inches, 5.1 centimetres by 5.1 centimetres. I didn't spot who that was for, sorry. But if you'd like to know, then let me know, please. Hopefully that answers your question. Do the stencils layer together? Now, I think you mean these 3, and they do not, being honest with you. So I'm going to bring them in so you can see them in this format, and then I promise we'll show you the last item. But I do like to answer your questions as we go through them so I don't miss anything. So these are your 3. So if we try to layer them, you're going to probably see it gets a little bit messy. Now, I'm not saying that you might not find a way to do it or that you might not play or you might come up with a different version to what I've done. But anytime I try and layer these all together, it just gets a bit blurry. But so I'm going to say no in answer to your question, but there are other ways you can play and it would be a bit more fiddly, but you could bring in your little masks, not on that size because that's the same smallest one, so that's a bit daft. Let's bring this one in. Is that the same small one? I've done it again. Let's try again. 3rd time lucky. You could bring this one in and you could then be putting that down in the middle of this one and inking it. So maybe you don't probably want to highlight every single one, but you could do that and pick out odd ones if you want to. So you could ink and then stamp on top of them and play around in that way. So hopefully that answers your question. Lots of people are saying happy birthday to Kim. That's lovely. Thank you all. It's lovely when we all get a warm welcome. So that's really nice to see. Thank you for that. So then let's move on to our last item to introduce you to today. And this is a biggie. So I'm going to try and get rid of these bits just for the second. We will show you samples in a moment, I promise, and we'll play a little bit. But I just want to show you all of the new bits. You got a bit of a cheeky sneaky then, didn't you? So these are our brand new layering dies. Now, I know loads of you have been asking me when are the next ones coming out, and I'm glad to tell you they will be launching on Highlight Crafts on Tuesday and then available from the rest of the world come Thursday. But these are our brand new Mats and Layers collection rectangles. So if you've not seen these before, there are 5 different sets. There are fluted rectangles, there are plain rectangles, there are decal edge and stitch rectangles, there are scallop edge and pierce rectangles, and there are postage rectangles. Now, just like before, and I'll show you this again in a minute when we get playing, all of the bits interchange. So the stitch lines and the pierce lines are separate dies. They can move between each set. They can be used on their own. You could just put 4 or 5 of them together and use them on a background. If you want to put a straight edge inside of a fluted edge with a pierced edge in the middle, you can do. This is all about bringing you the most versatility we can give you within a nesting set of dies. So we did the same with the squares. This is the rectangles. I've told you before there will be more coming. So already, and I will go back to this die, you can see there's an oval on this one with a fluted edge. You know we've done circles with these edges already in different pieces, like the circle sentiments. There are circles that are ovals. There are other shapes as well coming, but I'm not going to tease you too much because we're looking long term away. But there are circles and ovals that will be coming out in the future releases. And I'll tell you this because of the idea that you can take, let's have a little look here. Let's take the oval that comes with the rectangle for a start off. So let's bring that in and place that down on a piece of card. So this is the one that comes with the butterflies. But then if we was to go ahead and bring in, let's have a little look. How's that going to fit? Maybe our postage. Oh, that's lovely. Look at that. So that's more why I tell you more are coming. Because this shows you that when the ovals come out, proportionately, they're going to fit with the rectangles. And the circles are, of course, going to fit with the squares. But it doesn't mean you've got to stop there. You might choose to yo-yo between the two, and you might choose to put, oh, I need the next one up, but you get the idea. We could put the stitching in there, we could put the pierced in there. You've got every size to play with, so it's down to you where you stop and where you start. But it's nice that you can see that already you're going to be able to get started with this one from the butterfly set, but you're going to be able to be bringing in and creating your very own cool frames, whether you choose to use the stitching, the pierced, the decal edge, the postage edge, the flat edge. It's just all to play for. And as I say, genuinely, feedback on the squares has been so incredibly positive. I have a feeling these ones are going to fly out the door. So there are 5 different versions, exactly the same as the squares. Can of course interchange with the squares if that's something you'd like to do. But you've got the postage square, the scalloped, the decal edge, the plain and the fluted. And it's the separate edges or the separate detail edges that come with the decal edge and the scallop. Scallop you get pierced, decal edge you get stitch. So loads you're going to be able to play around with them and get creative with. And I'll show you more samples for them in a moment. Have I missed any comments on these? What is the largest in the rectangles? Evening, Chrissy. Let's have a little dig for you. So this is the largest, and it is 6 inches by 8 inches. In centimetres, that's 15.2 by 20.3. So 6 inches by 8 inches is the largest in the plain. And the plain ones tend to end up being just fractionally larger than the others. So if we dug into this one, for instance, this one's 5.8 by 7.8 inches. And that's so you can always have a flat edge to go around the outside shapes of all of the decals and the fancies if that's something you would like to do. So that completes our introductions. I'm going to pass these back to Peter, who is going to find us some bits to show you to match up with those, and I'll give you another flash of them again in a minute. Are the rectangles suitable for an A5 card? That's a very good question, Jean. Let's have a little look. Let's see how they match up. Don't do this at home. And obviously I'm taking a piece of A4 and folding it in half to give you an idea. When you tend to buy store-bought cards, you'll tend to find that they're actually cut slightly differently. If I send Pete downstairs at any point, I will get him to find us an A5 store-bought card so we can actually show you on a store-bought card instead of a piece of card folded in half, because they tend to come down slightly for the envelopes, don't they? But if you have a little look, we're slightly out in honesty. You've got sort of ½ inch across the top there that is quite awkward for those. But we wanted to give you a true rectangle, or what is classed as a true rectangle, hence why they're this proportion. Now you could certainly bring those in, you could use them, especially if we're looking at something like the pierced ones, for instance, but you might want to trim it down slightly. But it's always better to put a card in a baggy envelope than have an excess bit on the edge, I think, anyway. So if you want to trim them about, then you could do. Okay, did we miss any other questions? They would be great for mixed media frames, Kat. You're very right. What's the max GSM the dies can cut? Do you want to know the truth, Fran? I shouldn't tell you this, and I suppose it does depend a little bit on what machine you're working with, what die you're working with. Machines do vary an awful lot, so it isn't always about what capability the die has, manual machines, for instance, have a lot less pressure they're going to apply than an electronic machine. But today, and I'll show you why shortly, but I was cutting multiple rectangles at a time up against speed, and I was cutting 3 layers at once of our elite card in the black, which is 275. So whatever the maths is on that, 800 GSM through my Pro Cut, but this was just a plain shape. So if you was to be looking at something like the oval die, then I wouldn't try and cut 3 at once. I probably wouldn't even try and cut 2 pieces of 300 GSM card at once, to be honest with you. So it is going to vary a bit depending on the die. I feel that this question might come from the idea of, could you cut your own card blanks? Absolutely. If you want to leave half of it off the edge and cut your card blank out of a piece of folded in half card, you shouldn't have a problem with that. But again, it will depend on your machine. Have we missed anything else? I've cut 300 GSM of a set of your dies. Yeah, 300 GSM is, thank you, Chrissy. Always lovely to have your comments too, because it's one thing me saying it, it's a completely different thing when you all sort of agree with me. But all of our elite card stock is 300 GSM. So anytime you see a card like this one, for instance, that's sat behind me, all of these pieces are our dies. We've got our polar white card, we've got our rose petal pink card, and we've used those throughout. Every cut here is on 300 GSM. So it doesn't, and with those, you shouldn't have any problems, even when we go really lacy. And I'll bring in one of these. Oh, this is a good one to share with you. This is our lovely tag that Lynn created using really ornate petals. But again, this is again on our 300 GSM and cuts like a dream. So our dies do really cut brilliantly, being honest with you. But it is always going to be as much a mix between having great dies but having a great machine too. And I'll be honest, I love my Pro Cut. That does sort of cut through most stuff without any hassle from anywhere. So then I want to show you some samples because I'm conscious of time. We're half hour in and I haven't actually yet shown you anything or done anything. Don't forget to let me know your favourite colours of ink so that we can pick a winner to send some goodies. We'll send some bits that we make hopefully this evening if we get that far. So let's have a little look at what these inks can do, as in sample-wise, before we play with them. So when we start bringing these items together, this was what I was on about, stamping your inner stamps with your outside frames. And this is using the brushed gold and the sea breeze blue. And then I've used the brushed gold around the outside just to make some hanging decorations. Now these could be for a multitude of reasons, but absolutely could be done to hang on the Christmas tree if you're somebody who likes making Christmas decorations. I've put in 5 panels, I believe, but you could add in a lot more and fill that further if you wanted to. The choice is yours, but it's just an idea really to give you that you could stamp and turn these into hanging baubles. Then we move on and I want to show you this one. This one is using the dies with the stamps, with the inks. And in the background, you're going to notice the inks have been taken, put them out onto a mat. I've misted it with water and I've taken my foiled inkable frame and I've laid it down and picked it up multiple times to get that sort of mottled effect that's going across the back. But if I turn that in the light, can you see that beautiful metallic that's coming through? So straight away you're seeing the sea breeze blue. You're going to see the brushed gold in there. I feel like there's a bit of silver lining going on too, because I don't shy away from mixing silver with gold. Stamped in the inks as well. This is using the black suede, painted with the inks as well. And I mixed my green out of putting the yellow and the blue together. I'm sure you'll see me do that at some point, but there's no reason why you can't mix them to paint with them. Lots of smooshy backgrounds that I've been doing. Love that term from our dear Gwen. It's what Gwen always calls them, isn't it? Smoochy backgrounds. So just giving you a bit of a flash at some of these so you can see, look at that, isn't that gorgeous? So this is just the royal purple, misted with water, picked up on polar white card. Then of course when we go on to colours of our foiled inkables, or when we start putting colours over our foiled inkables, how regal and cool is that? That of course is with the sea breeze blue and the royal purple. Don't shy away from dark colours either. These really look cool going over black card. You do lose some of the intensity of the colours. So in this one, for instance, you can see the purple and the blue have gone slightly more silver. The metallic's coming through more than the colour, but as it hits the light, you get that pop of colour, which I think is really lovely. So again, play around with those. Now, we don't always recommend stamping with metallic inks because of the way they're formulated and what they do. So again, see how you get on. I find we get quite a lovely result with them, but they are a really good ink for techniques and backgrounds. But stamping is lovely to do with them too. So you're starting to see a few samples here that I've done with that. Here's one done by Ian. Let me just remove that bit. This is one done by Ian where he's taken the colours directly, put them onto the black card to go behind that beautiful butterfly. Isn't that gorgeous? So play around with them for your backgrounds too. Again, smooching on white card to get that really cool marble effect before we start doing any more with it, and smooching onto black card. So again, you're still getting them colours come through, but how gorgeous does that look? And then when we start bringing them over the top of embossed cards, so these are a few different folders and bits I've got in my collection that I've just been playing around adding these on top of, but they look beautiful and take on a whole different presence by just taking the ink and rubbing them directly over the top of the embossed card. So they work really well. So there are 5 colours in those. You've got black suede, royal purple, brushed gold, sea breeze blue and silver lining. I know I've asked you to pick one. How you're going to pick one, I've got no idea. And I have a feeling these are going to prove very, very, very popular. And I will be honest with you, because I think honesty is always the best policy. 2 different bits on these. These have taken us months, and I say months with a capital M, to get here and have them ready to bring to you. We have already got backup supplies on order. I think they're going to go very quickly. We launched these last week for America, for our American stockists, and our Canadian stockists for our distributor over there, and they're dwindling very, very fast. So I have a feeling these are going to go very quickly indeed. So if you're looking at these and thinking, I'd like Santa to bring me these for Christmas, don't dilly-dally when you can get your mitts on them. Get your mitts on them, because I don't know how long they're going to last or how quickly we're going to get them back in. Another part of a confession for you. Little tease. This is the first 5. There will be more. And I tell you there will be more because, again, there are gaps in them colours that we need to fill. So keep an eye out. And we are working on re-inkers too. So I don't know if anyone's asked that yet, but I tried to think of anything you might want to know. We are working on re-inkers. We're just waiting to hear back about them. But we should have re-inkers. Canada and America, when we did our presentation for them, that was something they really wanted. So we're trying very hard to bring you re-inkers for these. So keep an eye out for that too, but we'll let you know when they're here. What's next, Peter? Oh, go on then, let's have a look at these. So here's some samples using stencils, and these are using the, here they are, I've got them, the ornate tile stencils, the 12 pack. So all of these positives and negatives. These are great fun for doing your letterpressing with. So we did this last week, I think, where we inked over the stencil, sent it through the machine, transferred it off of the stencil onto the card. And of course, as it does that, it also embosses. So we've got a little ridge here where that level's embossed. And then of course, we've brought in the dies from the butterfly set, the dies from the die set, and the stamps to build up on the top here. And you're seeing, of course, our floral melody stamp coming in here from the Floral Wonder collection. So just showing you how the collections work together. These are 2 little tester pieces that I haven't yet finished, but I like to show you these because I've stamped on these and I've embossed them just so you can see the level of the embossing going through the machine. So that works really nicely to make smaller cards too. You've got all them different sizes, play around with them. Then moving on to this one, I've done very similar to this in the embossing aspect, and then I've put it onto a scoreboard and I've scored the lines running up to and from either side of the panel, and then I've stamped and cut out with the dies and layered in the middle to make that little central bit. This one again is using the inks really, so using the stencils but bringing in the inks. This is the silver lining from the inks, and I've taken the ink, I've put it all over the stencil, I've misted with water, I've done a little bit of splattering with a royal purple, and then I've sent it through and embossed it and transferred that colour over onto the cardstock. And to me it looks like concrete. Really metallic looking concrete, which I thought would be quite good fun for teenage cards and men's cards maybe. I went for picking up the purple that was in here from the splats. I went for a birthday wishes in the middle, but there's no reason why you can't do different things. And then another one here using the stencil, layering it on, inking round it and in the middle of it, stamping over the top of it, and then building up the middle. You'll get to see all of these in more detail as we go through the next couple of weeks, but I want to just try and share lots of details with you as quickly as I can so that you're with us. Our ink pads for Mary, who has asked that question, are 2.5 inch squares. To give you an idea, so 2.5 inch square is your outside casing. The bit on the inside is obviously a little bit smaller. We'll give you a little flash on one of those. But when you take off the lid, these are nicer. They're not as reflective as these ones. I've taken these out of the pack. You can see you've got your ink pad in there. So it's possibly a bit smaller. We'll give you a bit of a guide size on that. I would say approximately about 1.5 inches, maybe, approximately. And these are so juicy when they come to you. Honestly, I've been working with this set today, and when I go to ink a stamp, instead of taking the stamp and inking over it, I just glide down it. There is so much ink on them, you don't have to work it to get it out. They're just so juicy. You're going to love them, I promise you. Then when we look at the stencils, we've got 3 sizes in these, small, medium and large. Pete's going to give us all of them at once, but I'm going to show you this with you. So this is stamping into the openings of the stencil. I'm trying to catch that in the light there. This is the silver lining over an oxide inked background through the stencil. Now I'm going to mix up all the samples here, sorry, forgive me, but I want to show you all of these at once. So these 3 have all been done in the same way. So inking with shaded lilac oxide inks, that's a mouthful, and then stamping over the top with the metallic ink. So of course we've got silver lining, regal purple and brushed gold, but using our different stamps all from the ornate set to go over the top of these. But when they catch the light, it's tricky in studios to get the lighting right to show you, but that is so, it looks like either really ornate wallpaper or wrapping paper. I could imagine doing this over a box or something similar to that. Imagine doing this around an exploding box. How luxurious would that look? Then of course we can emboss these too. So 3 samples here of all the different sizes embossed. You could use them embossed or debossed, of course, but that works really nicely. Sample wise, playing around with the metallic inks over black card. And then these are pigment inks as well, something I haven't told you, pigment inks, so that we can emboss them. So I've embossed them in clear once I've gone over the top of them. If you don't want to emboss them, just leave them a little longer. They are quick drying, so they won't take too long to set. Bringing this idea of stamping and stenciling it into our cards, little one here for you. Another little example here showing you the stamps over the top, talking about when we're embossing them, embossed in the background, built up in the front. There's so many examples to share with you, and apologies to the DT if I don't mention all of the names as we go through them, but there's lots I want to cover tonight. So that's just a few samples showing you those stencils. Come on then, Pete. What we got next? Where are we going? Are we on to... Oh, we're going to look at the stamp ones. Go on then. Let's have a little look at those. Can you make an ATC blank from the rectangles? Oh, come on, Sharon, help me out here. What size is an ATC blank? Is there an official size for an ATC blank? Do you know what? Out of all the crafting I've ever done, I don't think I've ever made an ATC. And I don't know, is there an official size for an ATC? I don't know. Help me out with this one, Sharon. And I'll tell you. Or you've got these, Sharon. You could measure one. Sharon, of course, is our latest member to our design team, and she's already working up a storm with this collection. And I know she's done a couple of little videos as well that I'm going to get to share with you shortly. There should have been one today, but I've been running behind to share with you some of her inspiration. So keep an eye out for the videos, as well as blog posts from Sharon and Wendy. There's so much going on at the moment. It's just fun trying to bring it all to you. Okay, let's have a little look. Where did we get to? An ATC is 2.5 by 3.5 inches. Thank you, Kim. That helps. See, I should have to confess my lack of knowledge here, don't I? Because that's not something I've ever done before. I don't think these are, because they're too rectangular for that. But I'm going to give them to Pete, and he's going to have a little measure for us. We are looking for one in 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. We do need one of Wendy's. I've got a rule here somewhere. I just can't remember what drawer I've hid it in. Here you go. Have a rule, Pete. Use a rule instead of a scoreboard. Okay, so let's have a little look at this one then, shall we? So this is using our inks again, bringing these out onto the mat, squishing them, misting with water, and then layering them onto, or die cutting our butterflies from them. Butterfly corners cut in, and I'm going to try and lift this up here. That's cut into our fluted rectangle with our pierced detail. So don't be afraid to cut into your panels using the corner dies. I think that looks really lovely. Another little one here for you using that set of dies, doing some stamping in the background, bringing in the inks. I feel you've seen this once, sorry if you have. I think I've got 2 of them because I demoed that one the other day for a video. And then we've got another one here by Ian. Love this one. How striking is that red, black and white together? Beautiful. Another card here from Ian, showing you those layered together going down the sides. One here from Lynn. Little disclosure actually. I remember now, I felt when we was going through the stencils, I hadn't got any DT samples. That's because, not that we're last minute or anything, our DT just got the stencils. So keep an eye out for inspiration with that in the coming days. But we're always a bit last minute here. I'll be honest, and I said this to our DT when we were talking about it the other day, so often we start with a collection and we think, yeah, that's everything we need. And then as we make more and more samples with it, the cogs start whirring. And I'm like, well, if we had a stencil, we could do this and this and this with it. Lynn did it for us when we did the kaleidoscope collection, wherever that is behind us. She said about doing a stencil for them. So the stencils are always kind of like the cherry on top of the collections, and always the last minute thought of, well, if we add this, how many more doors can it open? What more can we create with this? So stencils always get handed out a little bit later than everything else in our world. So sorry there's no samples from the DT for those. But lovely one here from Lynn doing a little wrap round. This one is from Wendy, beautiful card, sharing with you, putting the tiles into the middles of like a lattice. I thought that was beautiful. Another one here from Ian, showing you some stamping on top of the corners, bringing in the dies, bringing in the stamps, working that all together. Come on, Pete, did you have an answer to our question? You look poised.
No, they're a bit more oblong.
I felt there was a bit too oblong-y for that. But you never know. Maybe that means that we need to do some dies for some ATCs. Maybe you need to open up a whole new world to us there. So this one's 2 1/4 by 4 1/2. So if you look at it like that, yeah, they're literally doubling. I should have known that actually, duh. I tend to forget little mathematical bits like that, but that's how they're a true rectangle, which is why they wouldn't make sense of that one. I like that, Sharon. I measure nothing. That's why I like dies. You and me both. Memory like a sieve when it comes to stuff like this. So a few samples of the happy birthday one. Conscious can't show you absolutely everything today. So little quick whisks through, but a few little ideas using the inks, using the stamps, bringing these together. Very conscious of time. I've already been chatting for 45 minutes and we haven't actually made anything to give away. So I'm going to speed up a little, but loads we can do with these. Little whisks through here. This is a lovely one by Lynn. Lovely little cute one here by Ian. Really like this one too, nice and bright and vibrant with the colour in there by Ian too. And then our last stamp is our beautiful with love one. Now this one's called Butterfly something, isn't it, Peter? Help me out, Butterfly. That's the one. So just a few whisks here of what we could be doing with this. Because of the, oh, and this is something to tell you. Can you dig out the Elegant Butterfly die set for us, please? Thanks, Pete. The dies in this oval match the Elegant Butterfly dies from the very first collection. And I chat about this all the time, but being able to bring things that we've worked with previously and bring them right up to today's collection is really important to me. So if you've got this die set, you will find that the die in this one, wherever it is, it's different on the back to the front. That don't help me at all. This one up here, that one is going to match perfectly with the butterfly you find in your oval. So if you're looking at this thinking, I want to layer it, you can do. Also, one of the side views matches the side view on the top. That does get a bit more tricky because we give you at this stage 2 sides and only 1 die, but we might add the other side profile shortly. There's a little hint. But it gives you the ability to layer them if you want to. And it's more, not only is it about giving you the ability to layer them because you can cut them out from that die if you want to and layer them. They're designed in such a way that that's not too difficult to do. But it's more important to me that you've got the same imagery going through your project. So if you're going to do a multi-page album, for instance, you might want to have that die on your cover. Well, you can have these dies run through it on every page and everything's going to come together. And that's before you think of the fact that these dies already match up with like the kaleidoscope background stencil, the formation stencil, and the floral spray stencil. So you could be using stencils, dies and ovals all the way through that are all going to coordinate. And to me, I think that's kind of cool because it opens more doors in what you can be doing with them. Another little sample here, and this is something, another reason why I wanted to give you the big dies. This one again is showing you how you can turn this into a little card. And we'll demo this at some stage. But if you're somebody who's postage conscious, like I think a lot of us are at the moment, what a cute little card to send, but it's got everything in there it needs. Room to write, the holder to hold it, lovely little 3D effect, all from that set of dies with matching in with your stamps. Sorry, I've confused Pete completely. I was just checking if there's any comments. You didn't. I see a lot of scrolling and I didn't think to ask. This one again, smooshy background with love on here. Another one here showing you those corners cut into the rectangle dies. Another one showing you the stamps built up into a background. Lovely little simple one here. This one's by Ian. I love this one. How cool is this? Where he's coloured these in, layered them onto the different panels. Another one by Ian where he's used the inks in the background to do a bit of splattering. And then he's coloured in the with love on the top there. And this one I believe is, I think this one's Lynn's, if I remember rightly, but how ornate and cool is that? Very, very pretty. So a few ideas there from the With Love stamp. What have we missed, Pete? What have we got left? Oh, we've actually got the tile die, haven't we? So let's go into this because there's lots here and I can show you a board with this. So our tile die, there's a few bits I want to show you with this one. Tile die on its own. When the tile die cuts, getting in for a close-up here, not only will it cut, it will deboss a line around every shape on every size so that you've got that classy finish. That's also a really handy bit to know for if you want to run a marker pen around the edge of it, you've got that little valley to colour up to. Again, showing you that interlinking that I was on about earlier, but bolder than that, I wanted to give you some visuals. So I've done some tiling today, as you do. So wacky colours, forgive me, but I wanted you to clearly see the joins and the differences. And I also wanted to show you some of the sizes. So I've started at this size. There are two smaller sizes I've not done a background with, but I'm going to show you these. So one size, the next size, going more random with my tiling, then going into pretty patterns diagonally because there's no reason why we can't go off on different tangents, and then into a big one with a 12 by 12s, just showing you a few ideas on how you could be bringing in this effect and tiling your backgrounds, whether this is for your cards, whether this is for your boxes, whether this is for your home decor, whether this is for your anything really, scrapbook pages, whatever you want to do, tile away till your heart's content. Now the bit I would urge, now I've gone for some wacky colours here, but think about all those times you're asked to make a card for a football team or a character somebody likes or something along them lines, and you think, well, what can I do in the background that's going to complement and really bring home the theme of what we're doing? Tile the background in the matching colours, stamp on top of these in one of those colours, stencil on top of them if you want to. Once you've done the background like this, think about embossing it through your machine, stamping over the top of all of it, misting over the top of all of it, working up from that point and doing more with it. But having all of those different sizes and that interlocking ability and then your stamps, honestly, so much you're going to be able to do with this. I think you're going to have a lot of fun. Including this one, Wendy's done, where she's turned it into a flower. How cool is that? Then another one here, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but we've gone for the Taj Mahal. Have I got that anywhere near right, Pete? Pete's nodding, I think we were right. This one was done by Lynn. Thought that was very cool, very fun, very, very cool. This one again showing you how you could die cut out the front and then sink your pictures behind it. Another one bringing in the stamp, showing you how you could make little joins down your cards with them. And a scrapbook page just for good measure, showing you the tiled effect coming together with the stamping over the top of it. And of course our oval and our flowers being brought in over the top of that. Then where do we move to next, Pete? We've got the big oval, haven't we? The big butterfly. Let's have a little look at that. I love the tiled look. They look like they'll be usable for summer Moroccan style and winter bauble style. Love them. Oh, I didn't show you these, Kay. Thank you. Glad you like the look of them. Always lovely to read that you like them. These are some different baubles that we've done as well. My mum did these. I thought these were really cool. She's put them together just to show you that you could leave them with a gap between them if you want to. That'll actually stand on its own. So you might want to make table decorations, seat names out of them, bits like that. Or again, using them and cutting them and layering them works really nicely as well. So thinking of doing colour trees, colour themed trees, that would work really nicely. Pete is now jesting them as Pat Butcher earrings. So should we give you a little, this is what I have to put up with. He says I'm the problem in life. This is what I have to deal with on a daily basis, honestly. I'm sure there should be some sort of payment for putting up with him. This is gorgeous. This one's done by Lynn. How beautiful is this? This is, and I don't think you're going to see it, but there is a little candle, like electric candle on the inside there. But isn't that gorgeous? So we've got the corners, we've got the tile die. So the corners are from the butterfly, which is why I'm showing it to you now. She's also used the lattice in the middles from the butterfly die set, but she has, of course, used the outside from the larger sets of the tile dies, using those all together to make that really cool little lantern. I love that. I could see that being done in all different colourways for different seasons, maybe some added decorations put on it, loads you could do. Now I'm going to dig this out. This is our board. Now I'll show you this on the overhead so you can see it better, hopefully. But let's have a little look at this. So this is showing you those corners cut out, showing you the back plates to them, showing you the lattice cut into the main frame, the opening that can be created instead, the solid area that can be done instead, the lattice being cut into the oval, the lattice being cut out as its own piece, and of course your fluted edge oval being used on its own. But the amount of ways in which you're going to be able to use that set to get creative, even just on its own, is ridiculous. Before we even think about bringing in all of the stamps and elements to go with them, there are so many ways in which you're going to be able to take this set. This one's using just the corner die and tiling that together. This is one of the demos we're hoping to do on Highlight Crafts next week, next Tuesday, to give you a bit of a sneaky. Cutting those corners in to your actual card blank, also game changer. Look at that. How pretty is that? So a few more samples. Another one done here by Lynn that's really beautiful. Ian is our shaker king, we've labelled him this week. He's making these amazing little shaker cards, and he's done exactly the same here, created with our lovely die set. Ian was also the only person I've seen so far, and I really liked it, where he's taken the panel and cut it to make a top and bottom of a card. But loads of ideas here. Another one done by Wendy. How beautiful is this one? Inking over the top of the foiled inkables, building up. Another beautiful one here using some of our pearl card. Another one showing you some of the inks. Another little one here building up. And a last one here from, oh, there's two. And two here from Ian. Beautifully, very oriental. And I love this petrol bloom working with the golds and the blacks as well. Very, very pretty. Now, have we got to the end of, oh, I haven't yet shown you the rectangles, have I? Sorry. I'm sorry. 55 minutes in, and I haven't even got to the end yet of showing you what I wanted to show you with all of these bits. So a couple of bits to mention with your card blanks, or with the large dies. These make beautiful card blanks. If you take, this is the actual size, so this is your outside edge, your largest one from the postage stamp set. You cut this, you fold it in half, you end up with an A6 card. It is 10 centimetres by 15 centimetres. So if you're looking at the larger ones from these sets thinking, I don't know if I'm going to need them for my cards, literally make your cards from them. I've then used the pierced detail to go around the front of the card here. Another thing I love these for, sentiment panels. You know I love a sentiment panel. You know we've got more of those coming to go with the dies, but think about all of the stamps you've got, all of those dies you've already got in word form, sentiment form, that you could be making little panels from the smallest sizes to add onto your cards. Here's a little box I've made with them as well, just to give you some ideas with the set. But we've got the postage stamp, we've got the flat edge set, or the plain ones, we've got the pierced that comes from the scallop. That's before we move on to some of the dies that we're releasing now and some of the ones that we've already bought out. But these build up to make a beautiful little box, and you can then put them on the base of your boxes as well, so everything matches, everything coordinates. Another little card here done by Lynn, which I thought was really cute, and I just wanted to share that with you. Nice little Christmas card using some Miri card. Then before we show you the boards for these, I want to show you these. Now these are good fun. This isn't my idea, so full disclosure, and you're all going to remember these if you've been crafting as long as I have. And I know a lot of people still do them in different formats, but these dies are really handy for it. And I only thought of this yesterday. I'm a bit slow sometimes. So I've made 3 versions to share with you. On next week's Thursday Night Natter, we will demonstrate one for you. And we'll take you through how you make the stand, how you make it, how everything comes together. I promise, next week, when we've got more time to natter and play, we'll make one. So come back next Thursday to find out if you like the look of them. But we are talking about books. So this is its very own little book with its very own little stand. And I've brought together the pages from our die sets. So we've got decal edge rectangles making the middle pages. We've got the scalloped rectangles making the outer edges. Hopefully you can see there the pierced detail running around the outside of the book and the inside of the pages. Bringing all of these sets together, and then I've made a little crafty stand that folds flat, so it goes completely flat if you want it to. But actually, you can then bring in your booklet and you can stand that on the front there. Now, as I say, years back they did templates for these, but it's really nice to see that we can be making these out of dies. And I've made 3 different versions just to give you a bit of inspiration. So Rodney's back, love me Rodney. Brought him back to have a little play for this one. I've changed the stand design a little. So again, we'll talk about why and how when we get onto it. And this one I did add a back cover onto the booklet, but I haven't decorated it. But it's just options for you. Again, all folds down flat, or that part does, so you could put it into a box and send it if you would like to. Pages, I've 3D'd them with quite a bit of foam tape. We'll talk more about that next week, but you don't have to. They can sit and sort of form on their own, but to me, I wanted a bit of depth. So then we've brought in the roses and we've stamped the roses. We've done some stamping with the inks as well, but it just shows you how you can bring those together to make your little booklets. So I'll show you those next week. I promise we'll go into more details with those, because of tonight we're just not going to have the time to cover all of that lot. Pete, you're not very good at the old questions tonight, are you? I think I'm going to have to sack him, you. Do we agree we need to sack Pete? I think we do. Oh, I can show you that in a minute. I promise. Was it about half hour ago, was it? Okay, Tanya, we'll show you the stencils embossing short. Tammy, sorry, we'll show you those in a minute. Jamie, Fran, I'm reading my bit. Fran, Jamie, what did your mum use as the hanger for the baubles? Just some ribbon. Pete will hand one back, hopefully. Thank you, Petey. This is just ribbon. We didn't do that very well. Excuse me. Go down. This one is some sheer ribbon that has just been added around it. This comes from Craftmania on a roll. Just a sheer ribbon with a satin edge around it. This one has got a saddle stitch. But if you're looking for these exact ribbons, pop onto Craftmania and you will find them. Shout out to all of our stockists, obviously. But for these ribbons, there's something Craftmania stock that we've pinched them from. But this one is a saddle stitch ribbon that works really nicely. But they come by the roll. Very inexpensive, very good quality ribbons. Okay, did we miss any other questions, Pete? So Maureen likes to look at the book. That's lovely to hear. Thank you, Maureen. Can you demo how to make the stand, please? Yeah, we will do, Chrissy. Next week, when I've got more time, because I've already been waffling the hour, and we haven't even shown you anything yet. Sorry, my fault. But next week, and I was going to do it on telly, but I always think on telly when we're doing construction, because of the sort of process. I apologise, I call it telly. Highlight Crafts is now my new telly. I know it's technically online and not telly as such, but in my head I have to keep things simple or I get too confused. But when we're at Highlight Crafts doing the shopping lives, I know we've got to be quite quick, and I'd like to break it down and show you every aspect of it. I've also, which I didn't show you, and this is how last minute this idea is, I've been making what are going to be little mini ones. How cute are these? And I want to make some stands to go with them, because this is the format that I'm at this stage. But we've got different size books coming, and I'll build these and we'll build some stands for them. And next week we'll chat through stand sizes, stand options. I might, and I don't know, but I might have even made some boxes to give you the idea of dimensions of boxes to put them in. But don't hold me to that. I'll see how busy I am. But if I can, I will, to give you the whole sort of bit going through. So then onto the boards for these, and then I promise we'll play with something, and I'll show Tammy how to do that embossing. So just quick boards here. You've seen these before in the square format, but this is giving you some ideas of how you can be using your big nested dies to either build up, using those pierced elements to make backgrounds, cutting them both together to make frames. But obviously the more sizes and shapes you've got, the more options you've got. And that's really what these collections are about, is giving you bits that are going to work together throughout. And we're kind of going about this in the wrong way, being honest with you. Like the oval butterfly that we shared with you today, the big oval butterfly, the oval that is, and the proportions that oval is, they will match our future oval pattern dies, which there are some coming in the next release. So this is part one of those ovals, and they will kind of work together in a sense. When we do the ovals of the layering dies, they will match those too. So with the rectangles, we will also bring out rectangle pattern dies that match those dies. We can't do everything all at once, but as we go through next year, you will see rectangles in patterns come out to match those rectangles. Because if you know me, I like to build a library. I like everything to work together. I don't want you to have to keep buying different shapes of ovals. Ovals change so much, don't they? I don't want you to keep having to buy different nesting dies to have all the different ovals. So for the time being, we'll stick to one pattern, one style, one size, and work through those until we've got quite a library of them. Okay?
Linda asked a little while back, sorry Linda, about how much the rectangles will be.
Oh, that's a good question. Please excuse me.
RRP on those is between $22.99 to $27.99.
I don't think you can ever hear Pete, because we only seem to get one mic working. Don't press buttons. Lord only knows what happened. So just in case you didn't hear that, Linda, the recommended retail prices will be $22.99 going up to $27.99, which I'm going to go out on a limb here and tell you is slightly cheaper than the squares were. slightly less metal, so we bring the price down. We don't do this sort of matching everything at one price point just because it is something. If we can save you money, we will save you money. So because we're using less metal to make them, we can take a couple of pounds off of the price of them. So as I say, recommended retail price $22.99, $27.99. I know through the experience of the squares, the ones where you get more dies in them, more work goes into making them, more time, that's when we put them up. That's when we have to put them up. So they will be your top end $27.99 ones. When we look to like the postage stamp ones, which are less dies in them, they will be the lower end of that price point to help. Is there any other bits we need to show them, or can we actually start playing? Can we start playing?
Jim wants to know if you do mortgages.
Mortgage, I know, tell me about it. It's tricky, isn't it? And we try to eke it out so we don't do too much all at once for you. Honestly, I tell you this all of the time. Literally, we're in a little room behind the camera are all of the boards of what's coming over the next few months if all goes to plan. And I say all goes to plan because we knew that we'd got a plan, and then the world took a turn and the plans have changed quite dramatically. But we do currently have a plan and there's lots of exciting stuff coming. But I always like to remind you of this. Things will work together, because of that to me is really important. So again, the more we do, the more you see it work together, and that's what we're all about. So if you buy these bits today, more will come to coordinate, and that really to me is impressive. Okay, let's have a little look at what we're doing with these inks, shall we? So let's bring in some inks and play with these just quickly, just give you some ideas of those. So we've got 5 different colours to explore, and I don't want to do a colour chart beforehand. I would prefer to do one with you. So if we bring in this black suede, look how gloriously beautiful that is. When we put it over the black cardstock, we get a beautiful metallic black working over that one. When we bring in the sea breeze blue and we do the same, don't forget, let me know what colours is your favourite, because we will pick a winner to win some bits once I've actually done something, I promise. Then we'll bring in the silver lining. And obviously this isn't normally how you would be using an ink pad, but it's nice for you to see them coming out, working, and what sort of coverage you're going to be getting. When I talk about taking these down a stamp and not having to build up my layers, this is what I mean. They're that juicy. Look at that beautiful gold. Love golds. And then we'll use the gold over the black as well. As I say, this isn't normally how you would be doing this at all, but it's nice that you get to see it. And then we'll do royal purple. So there, your 5 different colours taken out into that format. Aren't they just Moorish? Now you think about rubbing those over the top of your cardstock. So maybe we've got an embossed panel like this one, and we bring in this gold. And you can do this with an applicator if you prefer. Or maybe we're going to go for the sea breeze blue. And we're going to bring that in. Let's do a bit of playing, shall we? There's some purple. Now you at home, let your colours dry. They are quick dry, but I don't want you to contaminate your different ink pads. So give it a second in between, or heat set them just to leave them. But how fun is that for a really quick men's card? Now this isn't one of our folders. This is done by Nellie Snellen, I believe her name is. Nellie somebody. I never know if it's Snellen or Snedden. I always get that wrong. Snellen? I think I remember David Snellen from Fame Academy. And that, is it Snedden? And that's where my Snedden bit comes from. Always gets me confused. So yeah, that's just playing with them directly onto cardstock. Let's do a bit of smooching, shall we? So we'll bring in some of the colours and we'll put them out onto these. We haven't even introduced you to these yet. These are new. These are our new blending mats. Now you might have seen me sneaking up the last couple of weeks little mini ones, these little dinky ones. We have dinky ones and we have big ones. Both of these will be available on the Highlight Craft shows this week, and we'll be launching along with all of the other bits as well. Next week, yeah, next Tuesday. Sorry, to me that's this week now. It shouldn't be this week, but it is. And I'm trying not to get the dots in the middle too much. But we'll lay that down and we'll bring in some water and we'll mist over the top, just so we've got a bit of play there. And we'll bring in a piece of card and we'll start laying this down and picking it up. Now, how easy is this to do your backgrounds? And I know you've done this a lot of times with inks already, but we can intensify that, we can leave that to dry, we can dilute that further. It's that easy to start going in and picking up some colour. Now this to me looks a bit like a piece of encaustic art, which is lovely. That's a really nice way to look at it. we'll pass that off to Pete and we'll let that dry a second. We'll bring in some more water and we'll do one of these on top of black card. Now, of course, we're diluting this down. So on the black card, you might just find you get more of a silvery marble, a bit like this when it dries, but you still get colour come through. Look at that blue popping down in the corner here, and you can go back and you can add more and you can pick more up if you want to, but just play with them. So there's some of the techniques we're going to be doing on Highlight Crafts, and when we come back next week to demo as well, we'll play more in depth with these. Another fun thing to do is to paint with them, and we'll do that shortly. And another thing we can do is pick them up and kind of tap them. So just trying to think of quick bits I can show you. We'll show you this all more in depth. But if you start thinking about tapping and splatting with them, the fun backgrounds you're going to be able to create. Now, you'd clean your brush in between, I'm sure, but it just gives you that ability to tap and create. And you're going to end up with really cool speckles, like confetti, that you're then going to be able to die cut, emboss, or play with. So there are a couple of bits for the inks. If you've got any more questions about those, let us know, and we will do that too. Now, I'm conscious that Tammy wanted to know about embossing a stencil, so let's show you that being done so you can see how easy this is, because this is something we love doing too. Now, Tammy, if you was, it is Tammy, wasn't it? It was Tammy. I've not changed Tammy's name too. I'm very good at changing names. So what we're going to do this time is, if you were just aiming to emboss this, you wouldn't do this. But because I want to show you something kind of different at the same time, we're going to take our ink and we're going to pat over the top of this. Now, you could have easily used one of our new blending mats to do this over, and then the ink that goes through could have been used, and I didn't think of that, I should have. But we're going to go over the top of this, and we're using the Sea Breeze Blue, just trying to get a nice coverage. Now, don't forget these are quick dry inks, but we are working on top of Mylar here, so we've got a moment or two to play. Now, if you're new to our stencils, which you might be if you've not seen me do this before, because it's something we tend to do most weeks, because it's something I really love, our stencils are cut from a slightly thicker Mylar than traditional stencils, so that when they emboss, you're going to get even more depth to them. So we'll take the stencil, we'll lay that down, we'll bring in a piece of card and lay that over the top. We're then going to bring in a rubber mat. Now, I'm going quickly through this, Tammy, because it's going to depend on what machine you've got to what stack you need. But always, you're going to put rubber mat on top of card, on top of stencil. And then it's about finding the right plate combination to send through your machine. With the Pro Cut, I use a 5mm and a 3mm plate. I was told that that's wrong, so do read your book. But for me, it works, so I've always stuck with it. But if you find it puts up too much resistance, then take out some depth, basically. Take out some of the pressure. Now, when that's gone through, if we've done this anywhere near right, we have now got texture, we've got embossed. Oh, look at that. Got that lovely depth created, but we've also had the ink transfer off onto the background. Now, if you're worried about it being patchy and you want it to be a bit more filled in, you could go back again. Another tip can be, depending on what inks you're using, to lightly mist with water so that it transfers easier, but be careful not to put on too much water because you might find your inks run over the tops of your segments. But of course, you've got perfectly clean segments, so you could then stamp on top of those if you wish to. This part, which don't forget, I wasn't particularly aiming to create, this was just kind of the byproduct of what we was doing here. You could absolutely stamp on top of that one again with your stamps if you want to, or use that as it is to make a really, make a really fun background. So 2 for 1 really from that process of positives and negatives. But just put your rubber mat over the top of your card, and then that way the rubber mat will push the card down into the apertures on the stencil, and that's what's going to give you that beautiful depth. If you have any more questions, let me know and we can run through it again. Is there any other questions we've missed, Peter?
Kim was just asking about the craft mats. What are they?
Oh, the mats, the mats, the mats. You had the mats.
You have the mats.
We put the mats in the middle, I remember.
You have the mats.
I said we'll put them in the middle. Don't go getting me in trouble. Mats, new mats. So these are our blending mats. These ones are your little ones. You're going to get 6 in the little ones. And these are 13 centimetres by 13 centimetres. And then your big mats, these are new as well. And these are 205 millimeters by 255 millimeters. I'll give you in inches. 8 inches by 10 if I remember rightly. You're getting the confused eyes. Millimeters is a bit like out there for me. I can just about understand centimeters or inches. But yeah, so 13 centimeters or 8 inches by 10 inches. And we've done these and we've rounded the edges for you. Again, so you could stamp on these and ink these just like we did that stencil, send them through your machine and have usable, really cool panels. So it isn't only about being a blending mat, it's as much a transference mat. When we was talking the other day, and I think it was on one of these, it might have been on something else I was doing, but I was talking to you about if you had a plain mat and you stamp a picture of a swan on here, because everything that you send through to letterpress is reversed. If you've got a swan looking one way, you stamp that one first, then stamp one onto your mat, put it over the top and send it through your machine, it'll print it the other way round, so you end up with two swans looking at each other. The best way I can describe it really. But anytime you want to flip the image of a stamp, something like this can really help. And if you're worried about having the embossed line around the edge, if you use a big mat, you don't have to have that problem because it'll emboss the whole of your panel, or won't emboss the whole of your panel as such. So yeah, they're new and they're going to be out on Tuesday too. So keep an eye out for them. Also something that's new, but not for telly, but just so you know everything that's going on, we have brand new double-sided tape. Now, Pete might be able to tell me the recommended retails of these. No, he's looking vague, so I'll have to come back to you on those ones. We're really not prepared today, but there are... Oh, don't go away and look. Don't go telling us wrong. They'll be after us, Pete. I think it was Kim said I weren't allowed to sack you, so you know you can't go getting in trouble now. But there are new double-sided tapes, 6mm by 50 meters and 12mm by 50 meters. You know us, anything we can bring you in bigger quantities to save you pennies, we do. Hence the giant foam tape. If you was watching last week, you will have seen that. Hence the giant bottles of glue, hence the longer double-sided tape. So these, again, are just a bit of an essential that are coming out. So if you're in need for double-sided tape, keep an eye out for those. 6 and 12, 50 meters on each. Have we missed anything? Let's transfer you back before Pete walks in front of the camera. Seeing a side view of Pete, he's going to get his little price list so I can tell you the exact price because I don't want to tell you the wrong price. And I'm making him work now because I don't know if... have we missed any questions? I don't think we have. Tammy, you're more than welcome. We're always here for questions. I'll waffle forever, so just ever let us know of any questions. Really seeing the sheen on the card that's been said. You can't you? It's tricky to get it across on camera, Jane, apologies. But yeah, on that bit, you could really see that metallicness coming through, couldn't you? Pete's back with some prices for you. Recommended retail price? $1.99 for your 6mm wide 50 meters. And $2.99 for your 12mm 50 meters. Now, I'm going to be honest with you here, Peter. I might be wrong, and they might tell me different in the comments here. But I can remember we used to stock as a store Craft Creations double-sided 12mm tape, and that was 25 meters, and I think that was $4.49 for 25 meters. I think I might be wrong, and I don't have a memory, but they're really good prices, I think, anyway. So you've wowed me. Tammy's agreed. Good price. Yeah, I think that's a good price. Yeah. We'll keep him for another week, shall we? He passed. We'll keep him. So, Samantha would like to know how much the mats are, please, Peter. We're really not prepared. The big mats and the little mats? Oh, both $5.99. So you'll get 2 of the big mats and 6 of the little mats in a packet, and they're both $5.99 each. See if we can answer that one. It's not much we can do. Chrissy says it's a Billy bargain. Maureen says that's a good price. Judy says that's a good price. Oh, you've got me worried now. Have we got it wrong? Pete, give us the foam tape while you're about, please. And then I promise we'll do a demo. We'll do a proper demo. How are we doing for time? I feel like I've held you all hostage for hours. If you didn't see this come out, I know a lot of you missed last week's live. A, because it was Halloween, and B, because of Facebook held our video to ransom and wouldn't give it back till like a couple of days ago. But if you've not seen them, talking of big, we have new foam tape. I know this is foam tape. They're ridiculous. You get 50 meters on each roll. Again, just trying to save your pennies where we can. 50 meters on each roll. They come in 1mm and 2mm. If I remember rightly, it's 2mm, isn't it? Yeah, 2mm thick. They are a Billy bargain, and the recommended retail price for those is $12.99. And I was telling you this last week, But in our world, foam tape is usually 2 meters for £1, meaning that a roll would normally cost you £25. So we've done them at £12.99, which isn't quite half price, but not far off. Again, and I know I'm boring, but if we can save you money on the essential bits, it either keeps more pennies in the bank or gives you more pennies to spend on the fun bits, because of who wants to pay for the bits nobody really pays attention to, like foam tape and double-sided tape and glue. So any time we can save you money there, we're going to, and hence why we're trying to bring you these bigger bits in bulk. Okay, should we do a proper demo? Because I feel like we haven't really done any proper demos or shown you anything stamping. So let's play around and make a really simple little card, shall we? Very unlike me, I know, but let's make a little card, little creative card. So we're going to start off with our card blank, and if you've got any questions, let me know as we go through this, or anything about anything we've shown you so far. But I really want to give something away, so we need to at least finish something. So the card blank I'm using is 4.5 inches by approximately 6.5 inches. I have a feeling it's one I've cut down by memory, but it will give you an idea of the proportions that we're looking at for this one. We're going to bring in some plates so we can do some die cutting. So we're going to start off with our magnetic plate. My one's got a bit of a bow going on today, so please apologise or forgive me for the bow. And we're going to bring in some dies. So we're going to try and match roughly to the size that we're working with. So we're going to go for a plain rectangle. We're then going to bring in, oh, should we go for the stitches? We'll go for the stitches as we're there. So we'll bring in the stitch and we're going to lay that down on the inside. So you can literally do this at one time if you want to, you don't have to. I know some people don't work on magnetic mats and are worried about their dies moving. So if you prefer to do this in stages, you absolutely can do. But I tend to be a little bit more of a gambler, I suppose, and we'll go with it as is and see. We're then going to bring in our tile die. We're going to place that down in the middle, and we're going to place a piece of card over the top of that, and we're going to send this through. So we're going to create an aperture. We're going to put in our stitching, and we're going to create a fancy edge, all by using the dies in which we're bringing you in today's collection. So it's just fun to see how all of the pieces can be interchanged to work together. And I'm trying to find my stamp press, so let's bring that over while we're waiting for this to go through. So once that's gone through, we then of course have our perfect pattern. So we have got our aperture created, we have got our stitch marks put in place, and we've gone for our plain edge. So we've got the plain edge going around the side of this one. The part that's come out the middle, again, has got that beveled edge to it, so could be used, certainly could be stamped on if you'd like to. I will be honest, I tend to stamp mine before I die cut them, but you don't have to. You can hold that in your holder and stamp onto it if you prefer. I just find it easier if I go about it the other way. We're then going to bring in a piece of card to stamp our image onto. That is once I've found my stamps, and we're going to go for the happy birthday. So we'll bring this in and we're going to line that up in the middle. Now this is going to sit over the top to create our frame. So I don't have to be too exact because I can move around where that panel goes and trim it down if I need to. We're going to work with a black suede from the ink. And again, let's show you. So not even patting, because normally if you did that with an ink, or in my experience, if you do that with an ink, you're not going to get very much out of it because your inks tend to be quite subdued, I suppose. But with these, and I might be proven wrong at this stage, but I find that that actually is usually enough to give me a pretty decent impression. We will go over it again because it's not spot on, and I do want it to be spot on, but it is quite a good way to do it. So we've got our image stamped out. Now how cool is that to have an image already done, already stamped, already with a little bit of a pearl essence to it, if you can see that, ready to work with. So we'll take that one off to one side, bring in one I've already done for speed, and we're going to bring in a paintbrush and a water brush, and we're going to bring in one of our little mats. Any questions, Pete? You look like you might have a question. No? Oh, good. So we're going to bring out a couple of inks, and we're going to use Sea Breeze Blue, our Royal Purple, and we're going to go for some of the brushed gold. And we're going to bring in the water brush. We're going to just drop a couple of droplets of water down, and we're going to pick this up. And we're going to bring these in and start painting with them. Because to me, these make the most shiny iridescent paints I think I've ever seen. And it's just another way to get more value for money out of your product. Now, one of the questions you might wonder or ask is, does this reactivate the stamped image? I haven't found it does. Now, the inks are, of course, water sort of active as such. And if you was to mist heavily with water all over, then yes, you might find a bit of play in the movement of the image. But painting with them, I personally haven't found I've reactivated them. Even when we're going in with light blue, you know, that isn't being coloured by the black. That's still working really nicely, going around them. Another question, just in case you're thinking this, will it? If you want to mix colours and create your own shades in this format, you can do. So if we bring a little bit of the blue and the gold together, we're going to end up with quite a nice green. That's kind of nice when you're painting in your foliage to be able to create a green. I have a feeling we might well be bringing you a green in time, but it's nice that for now, if you want to make a green, you can make a green. So again, we'll get rid of the little tile or the little mat, and I'll give you a little waft of this just so you can see how well they've painted and what we created already. They're of course wet at this stage, but they'll dry quite quickly. And we'll go on and we'll show you some bits. So let's get rid of that before I end up with a gold print somewhere. I've got a water one around here somewhere. Here we are. Let's just mist that out. I'm printing already on my desk, so we'll get that part out of the way. And we're going to bring in our frame. Now to begin with, we're going to go around the middle bits and take these off. And for this card, we're going to use the With Love. So I'm going to bring that down, frame round the centre, and pick that up, and then I'm going to remove the outer edges of my foam tape just because I didn't want it to be too sticky in case I didn't quite get it in the right place. And I only need that to anchor down the back of the card because we're going to bring in some glue and place that over the rest of this to make sure that that's nice and in place when we put it onto the card blank. So don't forget, if you'd like to win the cards that I'm sharing with you today that we're making, then pop in the comments what colour of ink is your favourite. Is it royal blue, sea breeze blue, brushed gold, black suede, silver lining, and I believe that's all of them. So you've got 5 to choose from. And that completes your very quick, very simple card, whether you go for the With Love or the Happy Birthday. So very quick, very easy, very simple. Both been painted in with the inks as well. This green, of course, is just how I was mixing them to create that effect. This one's all of the inks just used on their own as such. So I'm conscious we've only done one demo. Should we try and fit in one more quick one and have a little go at that? Size-wise, your ink pads are 2.5 inches approximately for the outside. On our scoreboard, that looked exact, but on here, that looks a little bit under. So 2.25 inches actually, if we go by a proper ruler, not a scoreboard. And the actual ink part of them, because I think that's more the important bit, they're 1.5 inches square. But genuinely, that is 1.5 inches jam-packed with pearl ink that you are going to do an awful lot with. I think they're incredible. And these ones, your recommended retail price per pad is $6.99. So when those come out on Tuesday, look for that being your recommended retail price. We've tried to keep them at the best value we possibly can for you because we have a feeling you're all going to want to collect it. Now, I've just seen this. Jane has asked, where can we buy your items? So, evening, Jane, lovely to have you with us. The bits we're having a little look at this evening will be launching, they're not out yet, today's our sneaky peeks. They will be launching on Tuesday on Highlight Crafts live shopping events. If you haven't found us there yet, you can watch it directly on this page like you are today. When we go live, it will appear and you will be able to shop live whilst watching. Every product on the live shopping events will be given a code. So for instance, these will be something like Shop Ink, and you write Shop Ink in the comment box, and then you will receive a message telling you to check out. You can carry on shopping and buy as many items as you would like to, and then click on any message, it'll take you to the website where you can then purchase and check out as such for all of your items. And that will be on the Highlight Crafts website, Highlight Crafts Facebook page, but we also show it here live on the Jamie Rodgers Crafts page. That's on Tuesday when they're exclusively launched. On Thursday, they will then become available to our stockists, stock permitting. And all of our original products, we've got over 200 products already available. Then, of course, check out Highlights Crafts and, of course, check out our stockist list. We're taking on stockists all around the world currently, more on that as it sort of develops. But already there is quite a nice little stockist list that you can go and have a little look at to find your favourite stockist, depending on where in the world you're living. And if you'd like to get to that list, pop onto the website www.jamierodgerscrafts.com. While you're there, check out the blog. It's new and there's some lovely posts on there. And subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of the new releases, because you'll get emails telling you about new releases, showtimes and blogs as we move through the next couple of weeks. Okay, should we do another little demo? Any questions we've missed yet, Pete, while we're lining up for this one? Oh, time. Oh, good question. Very good question. We waffled about this earlier, so apologies. We think it's 9, 10 and 1, but we come into the room without checking. I know, how silly are we? Honestly, the basics in life. We didn't know the prices, we didn't know the times. I'm surprised we know our own name. But yeah, so we think 9, 10 and 1, but I will check and I will pop up a post after this is finished somewhere on this page over the next couple of days. There'll also be little sneaky peeks of cards and bits as well, and each one of them will remind you of the times. But by memory, we're going to gamble with the idea it's 9, 10 and 1 on Tuesday, but keep an eye out. And again, you can watch them back like you would this if you don't quite make it on those times. So let's do a little demo, shall we? Oh, I like the fact Tina's laughing. Honestly, it's not funny. We're just terrible. There's so many bits going on here at the moment, genuinely, and it's a lovely little world we're living in. But between the products arriving and the new stuff being designed and bringing on the new design team members and the new website going up and all of the different bits that are going on, there is just chaos in our little world. Good chaos, and we love it, but it's chaos. So it's just trying to catch ourselves going back. And I think if I'm honest, and this isn't a moan, it's just a comment, I think if I'm being honest with you all, me, Pete, all of the staff, the design team, everybody had just about got into a routine as Create and Craft closed. And now it's like somebody's come into our little world, picked it up like a snow globe and shook it for dear life. And that isn't a complaint, and these things happen, and that's business, and that's the world. And trust us, we're not lucky. It cost us a lot of money, and it's put big differences in what we're doing. And I haven't really spoke about this because I don't think we need to too much. And I don't want to bore you with it. You don't need to know the ins and outs of the boring bits of what goes on behind the scenes. But being honest, yeah, it put us through a turn, and we've had to reevaluate and change a few things about. And because of that, we've obviously gone off to highlight, which is amazing. But that took a lot of time to set up and get sorted and get into a routine with those. And then we've done the new websites and we've done different bits, and it's just trying to find our feet. So yeah, we're not running at the best speed today, but we'll get back there. So give us a moment and we'll get back on track. But we're trying really hard to make everything run smoothly, and the very big speed bump of Create and Craft appear like it didn't happen because of, there's no point being angry or moaning about what's happened. For us, we've got to try and move on and bring you the best we can bring you. And I know that we're lucky because a lot of people got affected in a lot worse ways than we did, including an awful lot of people who lost their jobs, and they're friends of ours who mean the world to us. So yeah, there's a lot of negative to it for a lot more people. So for us to just breeze over it isn't something we're doing lightly. We're just trying to professionally do that so that we can carry on as normal. We're like a swan where the legs are, is it a swan they say litter, or a duck, where the legs are going constantly but the swan just carries on the top. That's Jamie Rodgers Crafts currently. So yeah, we're a little bit 2s and 8s, or 2s and 6s, but we'll get there. So the card we're going to do for the next one, while I waffle and tell you the truth of what's going on, is a little easel card created with our butterfly oval, because I thought these were really good fun to actually make your card blanks out of. So I'm conscious of time, and I've kept you all for absolutely hours. So we'll do this quite quickly. But if you've got any questions, yeah, we'll run through it. But it's ever so simple to do. We're basically going to take our panel and we're going to cut this out using the fluted edge, the inner panel of the die, and we're going to leave in the middle the lattice. Now I am going to bring in those dies for you because I want to show you one thing about these. Something that's always bothered me, and I don't know where I've put the outside now. If you've got a pattern die, trying to get it right lined up if you're on a shape. I don't want you to struggle with putting that off, which can happen, and then it coming through and it not being right. So when you look at your oval butterfly die, I've put the teeth marks of the fluted edges around the edge. So when you come to nest it inside that die, you know exactly where it's got to be. There is no way you're going to put that off center. And you want it central because you want the flute to match at the top and the bottom so that those points are perfect and there's no room for error as such. Again, you can put it into other dies that will stay in your cardstock. It will cut out in your cardstock. You could put a bigger oval around it when we bring out the new ovals later on. Then you'll have lots of different shapes to put around it instead if you prefer. But that's the plan. It just simplifies it. Then you bring in your lattice part, you put that in the middle, you send that through, and that is what you're going to end up with. I've then taken one of those and I've glued it onto the back panel to create that effect so you see the two-tone panel. So we'll move those ones out the way for a second because this is where we've got to. We've got two versions of that. And we're going to bring in the oval for our mechanism. Now, can I have my scoreboard? Lovely, thanks, Pete. For scoring this, all I've done is I've put my oval onto the board. Let's try and give you some measurements. Put it onto the board and I've scored at 2 centimetres and 8.5, looking at this roughly, although that line does look a little bit wonky, but it doesn't matter. About 8.5, 2 and 8.5. So when you fold that in half, that will be in half, and then you've got the little flap on the other side to lift up so that that's going to make the part at the back. And I'll explain that more. When we bring this in, let's check we get the right one. We want this one. I've got some of our 12mm tape on the back. We're going to bring this oval in. We're going to match it up onto the top of this one, and we're going to place that down so that the teeth are matching all the way round. We're then going to fold this part up at the front and we're going to bring in this oval. Now, because we're matching exact sizes of oval, where sometimes when we do this, we sort of wonder where do we put the glue, at what point do we cut off? If we put it onto this part, we know that that's going to match in perfectly with the teeth on this one. So we can bring that down, we can line that up, we can give that a good push to make sure that it's nice and bonding. And I'll leave that there for a second to set. On to the next bit. So for this bit, we're going to bring in the lattice part. We're going to use the outside edge with it, and we're going to use the outside edge just to cut the pink piece. Now, don't forget this comes in with your oval. These are the dies that are in the centre. So although there is that other set of tile dies, you don't have to have those to create this. These two bits are going to come together. You're going to glue these together. And for speed, we're just going to go off on a tangent. But you're going to glue them together so you've got the background part. You're then going to repeat it. And then you're going to cut the one you've repeated roughly in half. And you're going to stick the one that's in half on the front of the first one. And I'll give you a close-up of this so you can see what I mean. So we've double stacked this front panel. And that is what is going to act as our stopper. That's what's going to be the bit that prevents this card from falling flat forward. And that's all I took. That's all I did. It's all I created. So I've, for some reason, I don't know why I've done this actually, but we've got the lattice on the middle here. We're going to cover that up. I was imagining it was easier. I say, I'm very lucky. My kits are prepped for me. Very, very, very grateful that my kits are always prepped for me by my wonderful parents. They put a lot of hard work into making these come together so that I've got time to do all the other bits and bring you the other content. But when we place that down on the top there, we've then created the perfect little stopper element to hold that card up. And it's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a big dramatic step. It can just be a small area. And we're then going to go on and we're going to bring in our next oval. Now this one, because we're talking about a symmetrical shape, we're going to fold it in half. And we're going to add some glue going down the crease. And we're going to go across the top there. And we're going to come down this part as well. And it's just across that butterfly body at the top and the bottom. And we're going to join that up and layer that on top of this one, just to create that element of 3D. Now we could have foam padded this. We could put a couple of pads under the sides just so it has a small lift to it. But I really like the idea that it's actually going to have quite a dramatic lift to it. So we're going to lift that into place and then we're going to bring in our little sentiment. Now I seem to have lost the back panel and I'm conscious that we're going to be sending this out. So I'm going to find the back panel before I stick it. Oh, I've got it, here it is. So we're going to stick down a piece of pink. just going off under that edge there, and then we're going to bring in our best wishes. Now the best wishes has been stamped from the sentiment set of stamps that come out with the lace collection, and it's been stamped in the silver lining ink. And we're going to tuck that just so it's coming out from underneath there. And we're going to give that one just a second to let that glue set. And I'll bring back in the completed version because we can be a bit more hands-on with this one. So that's created a folded up front. Now you could add in more layers to that if you want to, if you'd like even more depth, but it's made your freestanding card directly from that die set, just using that die set with a finished stamped element. So very easy, very quick, and very easy to convert to lots of different colours. So I'm conscious that we probably need to let you all leave in peace because we've been going on for an hour and 40 minutes, and I apologise because that's 40 minutes over what I'm meant to be doing. But I'm hoping you've had a good time and enjoyed seeing what can be made with this collection and having a little look through it. Now, Peter, we need a winner to send these 2 cards to if you haven't picked one already. If you haven't already told us what favourite colour is of inks, please do so in the comments and we will pick one lucky winner. You could choose from brushed gold, silver lining, royal purple, sea breeze blue and black suede. So they are your 5 options. If you haven't already, please do let me know what's your favourite and we will send somebody our lovely new oval card that we just made and the With Love card that we did before. So I'll send you the one we made and that one so that you've got 2 little cards to add to your collection. And if you would like them signed, let me know and I will sign them. I meant to offer that last week for Kim and totally forgot. But there are 5 different pads. Let me know what your favourite colour is. Now, is there any questions before we leave you in peace this evening? I hope you've all enjoyed it. I hope I haven't waffled on too long. It's been lovely to be with you and it's lovely to have the time to chat and run through everything. But as we know that Pete's a bit with the comments, we'll just have a little look and see if we've missed any. Honestly, final warnings. Final warnings tonight, Pete. Sorry. You know. Oh, I see a comment from Janet earlier, Janet Green, who is an amazing store called J-Craft in Australia. And I see you mentioned that you'd like to stock our products. That's certainly something we can do. We have this week opened up to worldwide shipping for our stockists. So if you haven't already registered on the trade website, then pop on there and do so. There was a link that we shared last week, and I don't know if, a couple of days ago, asking everybody to suggest a stockist. And that's really our aim at trying to get you to connect us to the people that you like to purchase from. So if you've got a particular retailer that you like to purchase from anywhere in the world now that you like to buy your products from and you'd like them to be stocking our products, find that post, it's just down the page a little bit, and tag them. And this is the important bit. Tag the person so that they see that you're looking for them to be stocking our products. And then from that place, we can make that magic hopefully happen and be able to supply them with our products so that you've got more choice on where you're purchasing them. But of course, don't forget our amazing stockist list already. And I did see a comment, and I didn't take note of the name, asking if you can buy direct from us or can you still buy direct from us. Jamie Rodgers Crafts does not sell direct. We are completely under the belief that we need to support our stockists because of our stockists are having a really rough time of it at the moment. So many wholesalers, distributors, designers are selling direct at prices stockists can't compete with and cutting stockists out of the market. In the last 24 hours, I've seen 2 shops that I really liked announce their closing down pretty much immediately. And I've lost count of how many stores I've seen say that in the last 6 months. Craft shops are a dying art. Online stockists were the way that sort of people had moved forward. Now they're starting to close. And to me, this industry needs as many stockists. It needs as many passionate crafters, people like Janet who are on here at whatever time of the night, finding out, being educated about products to pass on to you. They're the people this industry needs to keep hold of. So here we don't sell direct. We sell through our stockists. We support our stockists. Now, of course, as many of you know, and it isn't a secret, I do own a shop that is a stockist. And that we do keep separate because of, again, I want to support our stockists. But of course, you can purchase my products through that stockist too. But I do urge you to check out our stockist list because we have loads of stockists are now gaining traction all around the world that will be able to supply you with our products. And to us, we want to support them people and work with them. And there's lots we're doing behind the scenes to help support our stockists, and you'll see more of that coming through again when we get back on our feet slightly and things start to move forward slightly more. Now, I've been waffling for lots, Pete. Have you picked a winner yet?
Yes.
Come on then. Who's our winner?
Lovely Mary Ellis.
Oh, Mary.
Gold. Do you know Mary?
I know Mary Ellis, as in she pops up on lots of our feeds. Yeah,
Yes,
I remember
brush
lots of your
gold,
names.
something like.
Well, Mary, I will make sure that these are popped in the post to you in the next couple of days. If you could please message the page with your address, that would be brilliant. And let me know if you would like me to doodle on them or not. If you'd like to send them out, then I don't want to be responsible for graffitiing on them. If you'd like them to be signed, please let us know and I will sign them for you. If there is any other questions, I will come back and answer them for you after this has ended. Of course, we will be live on Highlight Crafts, we think at 10 a.m, 9 a.m, 10 a.m and 1 p.m on Tuesday, but watch out for a post of me correcting that. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for sticking with us. Sorry if I've blathered on a little bit more than normal, but it's been a real joy to be with you and have your questions and have your time. So thank you very much, and hopefully I'll see you Tuesday for Highlight Craft live shopping, and then next Thursday where I promise we'll have a go at making that book and chatting to you about stands and bits. So thank you very much for your time, everybody, and see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye from Pete too if you can't hear him. Bye for now, all. Right button somewhere. Bye.